Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Ed Wenck. I'm the content director with CEDIA, and we're going to talk about another CEDIA award-winning project this morning. And we're joined by one of the folks who helped integrate this particular project, Shereen Edward from Archimedia. Hi, Shereen. How are you?
Hi, Ed. How are you?
Don't be nervous.
I'm okay. I'll be okay.
And we're also joined by Alex Camara. He is the CEO of Audio Control. Hi, Alex.
Hi,
how
Ed.
are you?
Good to be here.
First of all, give us a little background about Archimedia. What are you guys? What are you guys about?
We are a integration company based in the Middle East. We have business units in Dubai, in Saudi, in Egypt, 2 franchisees, one in Morocco, one in Lebanon. And we have a centralized design department that's based out of Cairo that does all the design and engineering and the documentation for all the projects that we do across the region in North Africa and the Middle East.
And one of your colleagues, Peter Aylett, is a regular on the CEDIA podcast, which you can find at cedia.net. Plug.
He is a CEDIA volunteer, CEDIA board member, very active, and he's our president and CTO.
Very good. And Alex, tell us a little bit about Audio Control for those who are not in the know about your firm.
Yeah, Audio Control is a custom integration company focused on the professional, commercial, and residential markets. Really, the mission of the company, Ed, is to make good sound great, and we focus on everything from multi-room audio to home theater to preamps, processors, and just really working with integrators directly to try and create great experiences for customers.
And we're going to talk about a piece of equipment here in a little bit from Audio Control that kind of put this theater over the top. But this is really interesting. I'm going to read the entry for the CEDIA Awards book, if you don't mind, the opening blurb. Following a VIP open house that Archimedia held in conjunction with Trinov and Barco, the client that commissioned this one was convinced that he needed to invest to get an amazing cinema room. He wanted a technologically excellent home cinema as part of a complete new build, capable of bringing the homeowner's favorite movies to life. Archimedia explained the different levels of cinema that they offered and decided that the level just below reference would be appropriate to balance budget with performance. So this gent was one of 10 people who attended this open house?
Yes, we had originally been trying to design his entire home.
Oh, okay.
And a cinema was part of the requirement. And he had a very tight budget in mind. We were lucky enough to have an open day, which we don't normally do, but we had special circumstances in our showroom in Dubai to showcase some really cool products that we've used in our cinema room, in our showroom. And he was one of 10 people that came, and we just kind of recalibrated his way of thinking.
Awesome.
And he really he was blown away by it, that he understood the need to pay more to get that kind of experience.
Had you worked with this guy before?
No.
Okay, this is the first time.
This was our first time. We worked with the interior designer before who recommended this project to us.
So that's how he got invited to this thing. Do you do these things very often? It doesn't sound like it.
Not really, no. We'd love to do more. We've been trying to do it, but unfortunately we haven't gotten the chance to.
I understand. Now, how did you arrive at this particular level of cinema with the client? Tell me about the discovery process you guys went through.
The client was building a completely new room in his home, so it was completely from scratch. So we were really involved from the very beginning. We talked with the interior designer, we talked with the contractor, we were there for every phase of it being built to make sure that it would meet our standards when designing a room like this. The client was really keen on using this room for his personal use with family. Okay. So he watches a lot of movies with his girls and his wife, and so it had to have a kind of a comfortable feel to it.
Right.
So that's why if you look at the photos, you'll find that the first row is kind of a couch, more comfortable seating, less formal cinema room, and then the back row had the typical theater seatings. So we kind of designed based around that. We chose the right screen aspect ratio, given that movies was his primary choice for content. We focused on audio a lot. We gave him an immersive experience using a 7.1.4 system with 4 subs. And we just went through the whole thing from beginning to end, calibrated it, and gave him an experience he hopefully won't forget.
But you did have some budget considerations.
Yes,
you had
we
some
did.
compromises to make as far as budget was concerned.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
He had a really tight budget when it came to the equipment. Most people are willing to spend more on the interior and build their house than they are on the actual equipment. So the reason why we chose, like you said in the entry, a level that's just under reference was to be able to meet that that requirement to have that kind of performance with a lower budget.
Right.
So we did some compromise. He really wanted a 4K projector, for example, but we said that it wasn't really necessary because the seats were really far. They were further away from the screen than they should. So,
the resolution
there was
would be
yeah,
fine,
exactly.
yeah.
You really didn't need a 4K projector, so we convinced him to use that money to upgrade his audio.
There we go.
Yeah, and then
Which
it was
made Alex very happy.
it made the client happy too. It made such a big difference. So instead of spending money on the 4K projector when it wasn't really needed, we were able to take that part of the money and use it to upgrade some other stuff in his system, which made it a lot better.
Which brings us to Alex, and tell us about, what was it, the M9 that you installed in this particular?
Yeah, I mean, this was a great example of a project where a company like Archimedia, who's a key partner for us, will come to us with a solution and say, this is the solution we need. This is the budget. We offer multiple levels of receivers and preamps and multi-room audio products. From sort of an entry right up to a reference level, and we were able to identify a piece which was the Maestro M9 preamp processor, which fitted the customer's budget, number one, but really also drove that extra experience, the immersive experience that Archimedia were looking for, because they although the customer wanted to get to a certain budget level, I think Archimedia came to us saying, they want that level. However, we still want the Atmos experience. We still want the immersive experience. We still want to be able to, run true 4K, HDCP 2.2, HDMI 2.0, all the reference points that they want. And the budget price of the Maestro M9, which is certainly, as Shereen says, just below reference. It's a fantastic piece of equipment, just fitted that project. And it's a great example, I think, in our industry of the integrator and a manufacturer working together to the customer's solution, particularly in what is a pretty big project from a house point of view.
So
what kind of speakers did you wind up installing in the theater along with this processor?
We installed Bowers & Wilkins speakers.
Okay.
So we did a 7.1.4 and 4 subwoofers.
Right.
To get that bass EQ
and you kept
correct.
a separate projection room so you can upgrade the projector in the future, correct?
Yes, we do it for several reasons. One being noise, to reduce noise in a cinema room. We try to get that projector outside the room. It also doesn't look nice and clean when the projector's just dangling in the middle of the room, so we also put it outside with like a port glass to cover it to look really good, and then the added feature of being able to upgrade that projector later on with the right cabling in place and infrastructure, so that whenever he decides that it's time to pay a little bit more money to get that extra upgrade, we can do it.
I'm assuming an acoustically transparent screen and all that went into the project. What kind of screen did you use?
We used a daylight screen.
Okay.
It's a CinemaScope screen. I think it was 165-inch or something with masking along the side, because they do watch 16:9 content. So they did watch the World Cup on it.
Nice.
So as a family, they had people over. They were entertaining. So they do use 16:9 content, but mainly movies. So that's why we kept the aspect ratio as 2.4:1 with masking to get it down to 16:9 and still look good.
How closely were you working with the architect and interior designer for this project?
I personally wasn't. I was based out of Cairo, and this project is in Dubai. But we have our project managers and our salespeople. They were there all the time. They worked really closely with everyone to make sure that the build of the room would give us the right acoustics, that it wouldn't rattle, there wouldn't be any problems. We worked with the interior designer a lot because, as you can see in the picture, it had a domed ceiling. That ceiling was a lot more curved than this picture was, and we worked with them to kind of tell them, well, it's not ideal for a cinema room to have a curved ceiling, so we kind of brought it down as much as we could. Tried to convince them not to use any reflective materials, try to stick to darker colors. So yeah, we did work really closely with them to get that.
I think one of the things that feeds into that a lot, I think, is that at Audio Control, we've invested in Dirac room calibration, and I think one of the things Archimedia wanted was to have the Dirac room calibration as part of our product, and it's standard in our products. What it did really was take all of the aesthetics of that room and that challenge of the dome ceiling particularly, right, and really allow the team at Archimedia to be able to measure and calibrate the whole room using the software inside the Maestro M9, which then allowed that whole experience to change dramatically. I mean, when you when you use a product like the M9, but you put direct room calibration in there, and you can run an A and a B, which we did. You know, you just see that transformation experience. And this was a tough room. I mean, the dome ceiling, multiple levels, even the lighting on the side was protruding from the walls. So the experience really transformed with that. So that was a key piece of the acoustic partnership.
The calibration with the direct helped us to work with the room to deliver that kind of audio experience. So instead of working against it.
Talk about how important that is when you don't have optimum speaker placement or optimum materials. Or
it really makes such a huge difference. I can leave Alex to talk more about that calibration, but yeah, it makes such a big difference. Take a little
deep dive here.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just briefly. I mean, this is a software that's built into the Maestro M9. You know, it's not something you have to buy separately, and that used to be the case. You would buy something separately and sometimes spend thousands of dollars. This really is within the product. It allows the integrator, our media team, to be able to actually set multiple or definitive sweet spots within the theater where they really want the experience to take place. You know, we may do 10, 12, 15 different measurement points, and then really the software that Direct have created with us in our products then will literally, over a period of about 25 minutes, analyze the whole room, the reflective surfaces, if there's a pillar in a room, if there's a seat in a certain area, and it will adjust the frequencies, everything from the bass frequencies to the mid-level to the high level, right? And again, once again, I mean, it blows me away. I mean, it transforms that experience when you see that happen over this, and it takes less than an hour. So it's a very effective process. Yeah.
So you've got this room here. It's in a home in Dubai.
Yeah.
It is sound isolated, I'm assuming.
The advantage was that it was a new build and the client just chose it a little further away than the rest of the bedrooms and everything.
Nice.
So it didn't really need much. We also had some budget constraints, so we couldn't really just build a room within a room and that kind of stuff. But yes, there were some layers of rock wool and between gypsum boards built within that concrete box. So,
right.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I mean, we're talking about Dubai, where the summertime temperatures are pretty brutal. So you've got some HVAC considerations to deal with, and trying to quiet that as well.
Yeah, we engineer the racks, and we tell the HVAC contractors exactly how much heat we're going to be dissipating in that room. They take that into consideration. We also give them some noise criteria. So ours is usually set to an NC 25 requirement.
Okay.
So they work out the ducting. I mean, Dubai, because it's such a hot country, they're really efficient with HVACs. They know how to cool rooms really easily. So the only requirement from us was giving them what we needed in terms of a requirement. So we chose the NC25 based on CEDIA standards, and they were able to achieve that. We measured it before we got in there.
And just to remind everybody, there's two items that you have to keep cool here: human beings and racks, and that's a challenge as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. But we managed to work around it. We have the engineering department at Archimedia. We take everything into consideration,
well done.
And it just with the recommended practices and just a lot of experience, we were able to deliver these rooms.
With a new build like this, it must have been nice too to be able to dictate how much space exactly you needed for equipment, right?
Yes, we have a dedicated space just for racks. Again, for maintenance purposes, for heat purposes, for noise purposes. It's just so much easier to have it separated from the room.
So control systems for this room?
It was a Crestron system for the entire house, and the cinema was a part of that.
All right. Now, we have a whole family using this, right?
Yes.
So it has to be super intuitive. I imagine there's all ages using this.
Yes. Unfortunately, our client insisted on using his iPad for his interface for the cinema room, which we don't prefer as much. Sometimes, like you say, you just want to turn the volume up. You just want to press a button instead of going and pressing so many icons. But yeah, we gave him a remote control on loan for him to try it out, and hopefully he'll buy one.
I really like the starred ceiling. That's lovely. Did you suggest that, or is that something?
The client did. He really wanted that from the beginning. Yeah. So
it sounds like he had a fairly set vision when it came to aesthetics.
We worked with the interior designer. We also the client had some stuff in mind, and we kind of worked together to be able to produce. We showed him a portfolio of pictures to choose from. I guess he built an idea around that.
So how do you have that conversation? I really, really want that. No, it's not going to help you at all.
Well, when you give them they don't look at you as someone who you're trying to sell to. They're just looking at you as a technology. How do you say it?
An expert in your
yeah,
field.
you're the go-to person. You know what you're doing, and if you show them that you know that you're competent enough, that you understand it, and you're looking out for their best interest, they tend to listen. So we don't always just say yes, yes, we'll do whatever you want. We try to explain to them and teach them and give them the knowledge behind what we do so that they understand why we're choosing these things for them.
You look like you wanted to chime in on that one, Alex.
No, I mean, just in some ways to support that. I mean, I think when Alchemeda came to us with with some of the challenges, and often, like you said, when an owner of a home wants to have his or her input into the home, it's actually refreshing. However, you're right. Quite often, it's not always the most realistic approach. And I think one of the issues about heat, when Alchemeda came to us and said, look, we really need to make sure that the way this customer wants the room, that the heat is managed within the preamp, because I mean the preamp or the processor tends to be the hub of the system in some ways. It's the motorway, we call it, with all the different sort of exits coming in through it, but you can't generate a ton of heat. And this owner was particularly, I guess, sort of specific about the experience and how that would work, both from a performance heat and, again, like you just said, actually what he wanted and trying to influence that. So it was an interesting one, but it worked well.
All right, very good. What makes the room unique? What's your favorite part about this thing?
The audio is really, it stands out. After we calibrated, we made sure that all the speakers deliver 105 decibels at the listening positions.
All right.
The subs with boundary reinforcement reached 115 decibels, so it has that punch to it. The client, when we first showed it to him, he chose the movie, I think it was Star Wars, and he just got up and said he had an amazing experience. And after using the room for several weeks, he called us back and said he just has the best time in that room with his family, watches movies with his girls, and it just makes it's the room they spend the most time in.
Yep. Okay.
Which makes it different.
4 subwoofers. We just had a CEDIA Cinema Designer Masterclass. I don't know if you guys heard about this. This happened on Monday. Opened the show with it. And we had Theo Calamarakis, who's noted for designing theaters. He's been doing it forever. Mm-hmm. We had Joel Silver from the Imaging Science Foundation, who is excellent at calibrating video, and Anthony Gramani. And I don't know if you're familiar with Mr. Gramani. He's from a firm called PMI. He came to this universe, the consumer residential universe, from Skywalker Ranch. He helped develop surround sound originally and worked with the George Lucas folks. And he did 90 minutes on calibrating bass properly in a room. Talk about the struggles that are involved in getting the proper calibration in literally any room when you're talking about bass frequencies, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, it's bass particularly is one of the most challenging pieces of trying to equalize a room, because the bass is the bass is the thing you feel the most.
It's the emotional
It's the emotional side, and it's so weird when you have poor bass or poor bass response or poor bass calibration. It just changes the feel of the movie, and that's whether you're in your car, whether you're at home, whether you're in a wonderful cinema, home theater like here, without that bass. I mean, it's interesting. We do a product called AccuBass in a different part of our business,
nice,
which just brings that bass back in and changes that experience. So without bass, it's you lose a big part of it. So calibrating the bass part of this, which the direct calibration tool that we have in the processor really allows for, made a massive difference. And Theo's, he's a big fan of what we do with that space.
That's great. That's great. So how often do you work together? Audio
quite
control,
a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
They're your go-to guys, huh?
Yeah, we use a lot of their products, and more than just theaters. We use a lot for audio distribution and within the home, and
terrific.
We work together a lot. Very responsive. We like
now, have you integrated other aspects of this home, or was it just the theater, or did this lead to other parts?
Yes, everything in the home is integrated. The entire
wonderful.
house had a full automation, audio distribution, video distribution system.
Talk about some of the other systems that went in there, if you know them offhand. I don't, I'm throwing you a curve here, Sherry. I know.
I can't remember the entire home, but yeah, we had a video distribution system. I'm not. I think it was AV over IP. I can't remember which brand that we used. And we also used Sonos for audio distribution
it's handy.
within the home. The home is beautifully located in Dubai. It has a beautiful outdoor area.
Nice.
That we also had audio distribution, and we worked hard on that project. It was a really big project, but yeah.
How often do you guys get to help dictate the footprint of a room like this?
Not too often.
I'd imagine.
Sometimes we're given rooms that just won't work. We try to convince the client and to give us a better room to work with if it's at all possible. And sometimes we just have to make compromises. Sometimes we manage to get what we want. A lot of the things that helped us get what we want is when the clients would actually come into our showroom and experience our cinema room.
Nice.
And that's when they would realize that it was worth investing in. It helped us make so many upsales, and it's a real game changer.
So do you have one dedicated cinema in your showroom, or are there several? Is there a good, better, best? How does this work?
No, we have one.
Okay.
One really, I think it's I'm going to talk meters. We're in Europe, thank
That's
God.
fine.
I think it's a
I'll
9
convert
by
to imperial
5.
in my head.
Yeah,
It's all right.
9 meters long, 5 meters wide.
Okay, wow.
6 meters wide, I think. It's a big room.
Yeah.
And it was also an immersive audio experience in our showroom. It makes such a big difference, and we are able to show them what it's like without the immersive experience and with, so regular surround versus immersive.
So you're turning Atmos on and off.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great.
We actually have more than Atmos. We have Oro as well.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Multiple formats. That's terrific.
And we have media rooms. We have, I think, three different media rooms in our showroom as well.
And how do you outfit the media rooms? What are they like?
They have different solutions, and we have some that have ceiling speakers, others that are in walls. We use a rear projection on glass in one of them to kind of show if you're into that, because aesthetics play a big part in designing rooms like this, especially media rooms where you live in it and you just don't turn off the lights and sit in a room. So
I was going to say that one of the interesting things that I think people don't often realize is the way manufacturers like ourselves at Audio Control and Archimedia as an integrator work together on this. I mean, we supply equipment into showrooms throughout the world. I mean, we know Archimedia is a great example where we power their showrooms, we put our products in. It's it's basically normally a very heavily discounted or free service that we provide, because it really we have to create the experience with integrators, and Archimedia is a good example of a company that really invests in those showrooms. It makes a massive difference.
Real quick, for those who aren't familiar with the terms, just give us the cliff notes, the quick 30-second version of what delineates a media room from a home cinema. There's sometimes confusion about that.
I think it's mainly the usage of the room. So if you're going to use it for a multi-purpose room, lots of ambient light, not a very controlled lighting environment, maybe less on the audio side of how much decibels you're going to get at a listening position.
Because
maybe
you
not
might
a
be using it for entertaining.
Exactly.
You might be watching sports with a bunch of your friends and you want to talk. And
the lights on, you want to watch the news. A cinema room, I would say, would be a dedicated space. For that, with controlled lighting, with certain requirements in terms of audio and video, hitting certain numbers, brightness for screens and decibels for audio and that kind of stuff.
A quick piece on that is that the Maestro M9 would go into a theater room. We now have a high-end AVR 9, which allows you to have less space, and that's perfect for a media room. So it's So
we use that a lot too.
Congratulations! Absolutely a wonderful project. Does anyone have any questions before we let these folks go? If anybody's got any questions about the installation, because we're just about out of time. So more info on Audio Control. Where's your booth and how do people find you?
Our booth is in Hall 5, R96. We're on the website, www.audiocontrol.com. And any questions, let us know. It's
terrific.
Great partnership.
And is Archimedia building a separate room now in the headquarters for all your CEDIA trophies? Because you guys just keep racking them up.
They're good. They're good.
Yeah,
they are really good.
We have a strong engineering department and design department. We have excellent people in our operations team who do really well implementing them. And we're lucky enough. We work hard, but we're still lucky enough to be able to to get these
And
awards.
you guys use the awards in the marketing too.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's right there front and center on the website.
It's everywhere.
Okay. Do you include it in like the email signatures
Everything.
and stuff like that?
Yeah, we have a long line. It's getting out of hand, really. It's getting a bit
the
ridiculous.
signature goes
but-
on forever
yeah.
below the fold,
But
and we're
yeah.
scrolling and we're scrolling
Yeah,
and we're scrolling.
we got some for the yachts and the cinema rooms, which were pretty amazing.
Great job, guys. This was
Thank you.
painless, right? Right?
Kind
Wasn't-
of.
wasn't like, come on, it wasn't dentistry.
It was
you know,
okay.
come on. Shereen Edward is with Archimedia, and the website is, the URL is?
Archimedia-me.com.
That's it. And Alex Camara, CEO at Audio Control. How about a round of applause
Thanks,
for these
Ed.
folks, please?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us.